So MBI solves the problem of communication between the business and the development, operations, and supporting value streams. So the next thing that I'm going to take us into now is what's called the idealized value stream. And again, I start off by just making, there is a distinction. This is not like the ideal. We're trying to fit every value stream and every organization into this construct. It's a way, though, to identify how we're going from an idea all the way through something that'll be of value to our customers. And so that is what we're looking at here. So the definition of value streams I start off with is they start and they end with a customer. So whether the idea has a direct customer request, or we've got, again, experts in the business side, right? We got subject matter experts, market experts, people that are representing, these personas we've identified. We have our idea, and that comes in to the beginning, right, of our idealized value stream. So we have a business side, right? And we're going to start off with portfolio management. So the first thing is this idea big or small, right? Up to a point. Again, a tiny little story. We're not going to run through this. We're going to have ways to handle sort of the big rocks, which is what I'm going to kind of look at here, versus small rocks versus, teeny tiny, grains of sand, so to speak. So for the things that we're flowing through this, for one, we want to make sure we've got strategic alignment. And you'll see as we get into this, because this gets us into an intake management approach, that this is where so many organizations suffer, right? They don't have a good intake management process. They don't have, everybody just wants their own work. Hey, you got a whole bunch of business units and everybody's got their own P&L. Everybody's going to be competing for their work to get done. And they're going to think it's the most important thing because it's tied to their P&L. Versus a holistic approach where we have strategic alignment through objectives we're trying to achieve. Now, these can also be tied to investment pillars. Right? One of the customers that I'm spending a fair amount of time with, they have 4 pillars, right? 4 very significant things that organization is actually, it's in business, or it's in action for those 4 specific things. So here's an example from that MBI, right? Here's our strategic objective: increase direct-to-consumer sales by 3.25% compound annual growth rate. So there's lots of things to hit this type of an increase, right? Direct-to-consumer sales through a web portal, direct-to-consumer sales in the brick-and-mortar locations, right? All of the channels that this organization has to sell its product direct-to-consumer is going to need to be contributing to this amount of growth. So we decompose that, right? And again, this organization had 10 of these objectives. This value stream, the direct-to-consumer sales value stream, was only contributing to 3 of them. So this is broken down into initiatives. So for this value stream, there were multiple initiatives. The initiative that I showed you in the MBI example is, we want to increase sales by 48% compound annual growth for ultra premium product. There was also another tier of product, right? This was tier 9. There was a tier 0 product that was also brand new, or a tier of products that was brand new. There were also some pretty significant growths that from a sales perspective, were contributing through these other initiatives to be able to help the strategic outcome, right? So if we break it down like this, it makes it pretty simple and straightforward. You really start to be able to paint the picture of what is contributing to what and what needs to be done. So then we get into these next smallest bits of work we can do. These MBI, this was a complicated one. This was a big amount of work. Develop the global ultra premium product microsite. Yeah, that's a big, complicated MBI. Now, the other MBIs, the ones that were tailoring this microsite for one or more of the other geographic regions, one of those MBIs could have been quite small in comparison, right? It could have just been some of the things that for that particular geography, we were going to make some changes because that resonated well, and it was just more in line with the personas for that particular market, right? So we can have lots of different amounts of size and duration because of that complexity. So what we would end up with is we'd end up with strategies, and we've got a bunch of initiatives that have been identified, and then all of our MBIs, as well as MVPs, right? We would still be doing innovation work, but I'm going to kind of keep this simple in this webinar, that we have all these MBIs. And what we would see is the strategy stuff rarely changes, right? Unless there's a really big impact to something within our organization or our customer base, whatever. Now maybe this changed for everybody back last year, right, during the pandemic. But these rarely change. Now, initiatives infrequently change, right? Because those are things that, again, they span a bigger quantity of time. It's kind of like a program that's going to have multiple projects, and and they'll change, but infrequently. MBIs, we should see some amount of change. Right? We're getting feedback from the marketplace much sooner if it's the smallest thing we can do. Maybe we've got an MBI that we're going to be able to release in a month. Great. That's going to inform us on what we should do next.